The conference hall on Neutral Station Epsilon hummed with the quiet tension of 9 centuries of carefully maintained peace. General Rebecca Morrison stood at the human delegation's podium, her silver hair catching the artificial light, medals from the border wars gleaming on her dress uniform. At 73, she was humanity's most decorated officer, a living bridge between the generation that had fought the Dominion and those who had only known peace. The Talcresh Empire's envoy, High Chancellor Vrekthor, loomed across the chamber, 12 feet of chitinous armor and cold reptilian eyes that had never known mercy. Behind him, 300 worlds bent their knee. Behind Morrison, Earth and her 37 colony worlds stood defiant. The terms are simple, Vrekthor's translator crackled. Humanity will cede mining rights to the Proxima Centauri system. You will reduce your military fleet by 40%. And you will accept Dominion observers in all human space stations. Morrison's jaw tightened. She had read the Treaty of Aldebaran, signed by her grandfather after humanity's desperate last stand at the Battle of Soul's Gate. That treaty had bought peace at a terrible price, humanity confined to a tiny corner of the galaxy, their expansion frozen, their weapons limited. But it had given them time. Time to rebuild. Time to advance. Time to become something the Dominion had never expected. With respect, Chancellor, Morrison replied, her voice steady, the treaty specifically guarantees human autonomy within our designated territories. What you're proposing is annexation by another name. Vrekthor's mandibles clicked, the Talcresh equivalent of laughter. Your kind breeds too quickly. You consume too much. You innovate too recklessly. The galaxy requires management. We have maintained order for 15,000 years. Humanity has had its 900 years of freedom. That is generous enough. Around the chamber, representatives from 100 species watched in silence. Some pitied humanity. Others feared them. None would intervene. Morrison took a breath. She thought of her daughter, Emily, commanding a frigate in the outer colonies. Of her grandson, James, studying quantum mechanics on Mars. Of 4 billion humans across 37 worlds who had never known the terror of Dominion bombardment, who had grown up believing the galaxy could be a place of wonder rather than subjugation. Then I suppose, she said quietly, we have nothing further to discuss. She turned to leave. That's when Vrekthor made his mistake. You will stay until dismissed, human. The pulse blast hit her between the shoulder blades. Morrison fell, her body hitting the podium with a sickening crack. The Talcresh weapon had been smuggled past security, a deliberate provocation. Blood pooled beneath her as the human delegation rushed forward, but it was too late. General Rebecca Morrison died not on a battlefield, but on a conference room floor, murdered while under diplomatic protection. Vrekthor holstered his weapon calmly. Let this be a lesson. Humanity's time of negotiation is over. The silence that followed lasted exactly 7 seconds. Then humanity's answer began. Admiral Jack Patterson, Morrison's second-in-command, stood over her body with tears streaming down his face. When he looked up at the Talcresh delegation, his eyes had gone dead cold. 900 years, he whispered. 900 years we honored that treaty. We stayed in our corner. We built our worlds. We raised our children. And you couldn't even let her walk away with dignity. He tapped his comm unit. All human vessels. Execute Protocol Prometheus. Authorization, Patterson Alpha 77. Across human space, 1,000 warships received the signal simultaneously. The ships nobody knew existed. The weapons the treaties had forbidden. The technology humanity had developed in secret, knowing this day might come. In the Proxima Centauri system, where the Dominion had planted their flag, a human dreadnought named Defiance decloaked. It was 3 miles long, bristling with weapons that made the old missile cruisers look like children's toys. Captain Maria Rodriguez opened fire without hesitation, and a Talcresh occupation fleet evaporated in nuclear fire. At Sol Station, Admiral James Mitchell activated the defense grid, a network of railgun platforms that had been disguised as commercial satellites for 2 centuries. Dominion scouts attempting to enter the system learned that humanity's home was now a fortress that would make even the Talcresh think twice. And in the depths of human research stations, scientists activated their greatest secret, the quantum disruption field. Technology that could collapse the spacetime anomalies the Dominion used for faster-than-light travel. In a single hour, the Talcresh lost their mobility advantage, their empire suddenly fragmented across the void. But humanity's true weapon wasn't technology. Within 24 hours, the galactic net exploded with footage of Morrison's murder. Every species that had ever chafed under Dominion rule saw the same image, an elderly woman, shot in the back while walking away from a tyrant. The propaganda value was incalculable. The Zellner Collective, subjugated for 4,000 years, rose in rebellion. The Moth clans, enslaved miners on 100 worlds, sabotaged their overseers. The Harmonious Accord, pacifists who had never lifted a weapon, began smuggling supplies to resistance movements. And humanity? Humanity did what they had always done best. They adapted. They improvised. They fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. Vrekthor called for reinforcements, but they never came. His empire was burning, and humanity had lit the match. 3 months after Rebecca Morrison's death, Admiral Patterson stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching Talcresh Prime grow large in the viewscreen. The capital world of the Dominion, untouched by war for 10 millennia, now stared down the barrels of human guns. He opened a channel to the surface. 900 years ago, you let us live because you thought we were weak. You were right. We were. But you gave us time, and humans are very good at learning. General Morrison wanted peace. She died for it. Now you'll learn what happens when you kill the peacemakers and leave only the soldiers. He paused, thinking of the gentle woman who had dedicated her life to maintaining the fragile peace, who had believed diplomacy could triumph over force. This one's for Rebecca, Patterson said softly. And the fleet opened fire. The war that followed lasted 17 years. But the Dominion that had ruled for 15,000 years fell in 17 months. The rest was just humanity making sure it stayed down. They called it the Morrison War. And it taught the galaxy a lesson that echoed through the centuries: humanity will tolerate much. Humanity will negotiate, compromise, and seek peace above all else. But kill their peacemakers, and you'll learn why their warriors are so terrifying. They have nothing left to lose.